Welcome to Talk English Daily, your home for simple, practical, and motivating English learning. When David was a boy, he often dreamed of speaking English fluently, but every time he opened his mouth, the words came out broken and full of mistakes. His classmates laughed, his teachers sometimes grew impatient, and he felt embarrassed. One day, after failing an English test, he told his mother, "Maybe English is not for me. I will never learn it." His mother looked at him kindly and said, "David, never give up. Every great success begins with small, imperfect steps. Even the tallest tree was once a tiny seed." Those words stayed in David's heart. The next morning, instead of quitting, he tried something new. He picked up a short English storybook and decided to read 1 page a day. At first he understood very little, but he didn't stop. He kept a notebook where he wrote new words, and every evening he read them aloud. Slowly, those strange words began to feel like friends. Weeks turned into months, and soon David was able to follow entire stories without translation. Still, he struggled with speaking. When he tried to talk, he froze and forgot the words. But once again, he remembered his mother's advice: never give up. So he joined an English club in his town, where people practiced through role plays and conversations. The first time he spoke, his voice shook, but his partners encouraged him. He came back again and again, and with every mistake, he grew stronger. Years passed, and David's persistence paid off. He was chosen to give a speech in English at his school graduation. Standing on stage, he looked at the audience and remembered the boy who once wanted to quit. With clear words and a confident smile, he told his story of perseverance, and everyone applauded. Later, David became a teacher, inspiring his students with the same message: that learning English, like every worthwhile goal, requires patience, practice, and courage. He told them, never give up. Read stories, listen to others, write your thoughts, and speak even when you feel afraid. Every effort you make is building your future. The moral of David's journey is clear. Success does not belong to the fastest or the most talented, but to those who keep walking forward no matter how many times they stumble. In life and in learning English, the key is to keep trying, to keep improving, and to never give up. When David was a young boy in his small village, he often sat under a tree and dreamed of exploring the world. He wanted to make friends from different countries, to travel, and to learn new ideas. But there was one big problem. He struggled with English. Every time he tried to speak, his tongue twisted, his sentences broke, and people around him laughed. Once in school, when he mispronounced a simple word, his classmates burst out laughing, and his face turned red with shame. That night, he told his mother with tears in his eyes, "I am not smart enough. I will never learn English." His mother held his hand gently and said, "David, never give up. Success is not about being perfect from the beginning. It is about trying again and again until your weakness becomes your strength. Even a river cuts through rock, not because it is powerful, but because it never stops flowing." The next morning, David decided he would not quit. Instead of avoiding English, he faced it slowly. He borrowed a small English storybook from the library and promised himself to read just 1 page every day. The first time he opened the book, he understood almost nothing. The words looked like puzzles, but he did not close the book. He underlined the difficult words, wrote them in a notebook, and asked his teacher about them the next day. At night, he read them aloud, even if his pronunciation was wrong. Weeks passed, and slowly he began to recognize words. A simple sentence like, "The boy goes to school," felt like a victory to him. That little progress gave him hope. Still, speaking was his greatest challenge. Whenever he opened his mouth, fear closed his throat. One day, his teacher invited him to join an English club, where students practice through role plays and conversations. On the first day, his voice shook like a leaf in the wind. He forgot half the words and sat down, embarrassed. But instead of leaving, he remembered his mother's words, "Never give up." He went back the next week, then the week after. Each mistake became a lesson. Each practice became a small step forward. Months turned into years. David's persistence began to show results. He could now read English stories without translation, watch English movies with subtitles, and even write short essays. His confidence grew. One day, the principal asked him to represent the school in an English speech contest. At first, David was terrified. He thought of refusing, but something inside him whispered, "Don't give up. This is your chance." He practiced day and night, reading his speech aloud, recording his voice, and correcting his mistakes. On the day of the contest, his heart pounded. But when he stood on stage and looked at the audience, he took a deep breath and began. His words were not perfect, but they were full of courage and passion. When he finished, the hall echoed with applause. That experience changed his life. He realized that the biggest enemy was not English, but his own fear. After that, David studied harder. He listened to English songs, repeated dialogues from movies, and even talked to himself in English while walking on the road. Slowly, he became fluent. Later, he traveled to another country to study, and there he made friends from many cultures. He discovered that his ability to communicate in English opened doors he had once thought impossible. Years later, David became a teacher. Standing in front of his students, he told them about his struggles. "When I was your age," he said, "I could not say even one correct sentence. I wanted to quit many times, but I learned that every mistake is a teacher, every difficulty is a step, and every small effort builds your future." Learning English is not about talent, it is about persistence. You must read stories, listen carefully, write every day, and practice speaking without fear. Remember, never give up. His students listened with shining eyes, inspired by his journey. The moral of David's story is simple, but powerful. Success belongs not to those who never fail, but to those who never quit. Just like David, every learner will face laughter, doubt, and mistakes. But those who keep going will one day look back and see how far they have come. English, like life, is a journey of patience and courage. If you fall, stand up again. If you forget, try once more. If you fail, learn from it. As long as you never give up, you will always keep moving closer to your dreams. Subscribe now and start your journey to speak English with confidence every day.